It's been a while since we last spoke, and I should have written earlier. I know you'll say that I should have. Instead of talking through our lives over the last few years, I have a better idea. This is my attempt to convince you to come and visit the city where I'm currently living, Sofia. I think this is probably the best place to continue our conversation from all those years back. When I was a kid, I remember sitting in the car with my aunt one early day in June and telling her that I was sad that summer was over. That somehow, this period during the year was over before it even begun. That feeling holds me to this day, and maybe logically so, I'll start by saying that Sofia for me is sunrise. The only sound that permeates the early morning ambience of the city is my own bike chain as I cut and weave through side streets and boulevards to glimpse at that golden blanket of sun that pours across the center of the city. On this early tour, I find myself passing by an equally radiant landmark almost every morning. Our cathedral, Alexander Nevsky. These rays stretch onwards and sift in through the windows above our ancient Roman ruins and fortress walls like a veil between what is old and new. They also find their way past our towering National House of Culture, the symbol of which is nothing if not a radiant sun. A meeting point throughout the day where the symphony of fountains, skate wheels, and conversation are often the only things needed to herald in the sunset. Speaking of symphony, there's somewhere I want to take you that I also associate with a feeling of sunrise and the start of something grand. But don't let me convince you.
София за мен е музикалният център на България.
And it's exactly these movements, both delicately physical and powerfully musical, that have captured the attention of locals over the last 100 years.
София за мен е усещане. Усещане за дом, семейство, сигурност, надежда.
Maybe I associate the early hours of the day with this feeling of anticipation for something special to occur, which is shared amongst a few other people that I know.
София за мен е цъфналите кестени, миризмата на люляци, уют и любов.
Like the start of a brilliant play, you can't help but think about all the moments and all the stories that are just about to happen in this city. And as the trails of the morning continue onwards, all you often need is one last kick to start your day. The smell of which sometimes makes its way from the most unexpected of places. Former bunkers and bomb shelters right below you. Or sometimes from something a bit more of this century.
София за мен е хладна лятна сутрин.
A quick side note here. While you're drinking your super short espresso, as we call it here, right next door is coincidentally the shortest walking street in the city, filled with a history that is anything but brief. In that sense, it's not just the stories that are about to happen, but the stories that have happened long ago and that have shaped the spaces we know today. There's a lot of old that I want to show you, but there are people far more involved that'll do a much better job.
София за мен е извор на вдъхновение и поле за изява.
The old of Sofia sometimes beats in a rhythm, not relevant only to the buildings and spaces of the city, but to that of traditions and beliefs as well. And the arteries that lead to this heart are the best kind of crossroads in our city. A combination of religion and history that intersects 4 different houses of worship near our ancient Roman fortress, Serdica. And while we're there, we might as well stop by Kvartal, a neighborhood that has developed an almost religious fervor in and of itself, one in which arts and crafts, delicious homemade food, and bookstore cafes have taken the forefront and have become a testament to how quickly this city shifts and grows.
София за мен е град с минало и бъдеще.
You're in luck, because some stories that have shaped the city as we know it have a home, not only collected, but used as a trampoline in order to build a contemporary image and narrative for Sofia that pays respect to what was, whilst constructing what is yet to be.
София за мен е град на контрастите.
With all this behind us, it's time to head into the beautiful chaos of the city and the flavor it brings along with it.
София за мен е все по-жив град.
София за мен е моят град.
Пазарите, вино, приятели, моят живот.
София за мен е гостоприемна и прогресивна кулинарна дестинация.
София за мен е необятен потенциал да разгърнеш възможностите си.
Мястото, в което мога да изразявам себе си.
София за мен е кръстопът.
София за мен е култ.
A friend of mine recently told me something that has engraved itself in my mind over the last few months, and that's that the most important thing is not having somewhere to go to, but having somewhere to come back to.
София за мен е
The feeling of home can often be attributed to the color that radiates all around. And sometimes, home is found in the moments of excitement that envelop our evenings.
София за мен е
Приключение.
Един мултифункционален град.
София за мен е страст, кипеш.
And then suddenly, it's not last night. And maybe you start to question if last night was actually last night. Or maybe another moment lost to the clutches of time. But if that last feeling is something you're after, there's somewhere nearby that allows the fabric of time to remain still, stitched together by the rustle of leaves and the distant sound of water. Let's start with the fact that we literally have a mountain in our backyard, a 30-minute drive from here to here. It's funny, because I've realized over the last few years that it's often easier to get on a plane to the other side of a continent than it is to explore your own surroundings. I want to change that when you get here. I want you to hear the sound of the Bojana waterfall as it cascades across the rocks in its own private corner of the forest. I want you to feel the wind press up against your back and burrow its memory into your mind as you climb towards our Black Peak summit. And I want you to lose yourself within the wooden comfort of one of our numerous cabins that dot the mountainside. I want you to meet people like this.
София за мен е дом и семейен уют.
And just when you've left this hospitality and warmth, I want you to forget about your comfort and start all over again.
София за мен е една много добра игрална площадка с отличен достъп.
But why embrace this nature only within the slopes that slip down into our capital? Why not find it at a moment's notice at the tranquil Pancharevo Lake, in our numerous stretching city parks, or while you're entangled in our botanical garden?
София за мен е палитра от емоции, любов и хиляди възможности.
We'll go there. But we'll also go and spend the day in what is perhaps one of my favorite neighborhoods. You'll like it there. I know you will, and I'll probably have difficulty with this, but as the day comes to a close, I'll have to pull your attention away from this part of Sofia to take you somewhere else. Just in time for sunset. I started this by telling you that Sofia for me is sunrise, but I'll end by saying that it's of course much more than that. It's the expectation that a story will unravel at every corner and take you along with it. It always does.